Yep.
Great. So, I mean, you know what, Ginger, you weren't there when I got on last night, and usually I also have someone who's like giving me the agenda, like everything, and I got there, and like it's not attached to the calendar. I need it
I
to be
know. That
attached to
was
the
my
calendar. I'm
bad.
trying to
I
find
thought
it.
I did it. I was like trying to do it in the meeting and I just like maybe felt
No, no, no. I also felt like I know it wasn't my first, because I didn't know I was actually chairing the last one that I ended up doing, and I just wanted to do it differently. So I I will be more organized for the future, but I literally like walked in rushing home from the office. But thank you all for joining on our first executive committee of the board. So this was something that Wendy and I talked about and thought was really important for us to have like a smaller group of people meeting rather than the whole board that I'm hoping will expand, that it'll be even bigger and more voices, and that we could actually get to some core issues. So for this one, I know that time is of the essence for all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you for squeezing out these few minutes in our crazy lives. I'm hopeful that moving forward, we'll have like a solid hour. I'm hoping about a week to a few days before the board meeting. Because I'd love for, because right now, I guess at the agenda and I'm approving, but I'd like for this to be a shared effort and to actually understand, from all of your perspectives as to what we should be talking about and the things that we really need to raise and the things that are important for all of us. So I'm really hopeful that that's what we are going to be spending our time doing. But the one thing I love to share with all of you, because Wendy just shared it on an email thread with Amy. Amy wrote to me and Wendy separately to say she really feels strongly that we need to have an honoree for the gala. So Wendy shared with me last night, and I actually think it's brilliant. And I would love to hear all of your thoughts. And she shared it with Amy, so I feel like we can share it. She was a little hesitant about sharing with the whole board because she wasn't sure. So, as we know, the biggest challenge right now that the foundation is facing is really the current leadership that is HCZ, because that's who controls how many hours the Wendy Hillier Foundation can have access to the armory.
Mhm.
The person who brought us into the armory, I don't think it was quite 30 years ago, but almost 30 years ago, and the conversations was the person who founded HCZ, Jeffrey Canada. Are
Mm.
you all familiar with Jeffrey Canada? Like he's this legendary figure. And so someone that Wendy really gets a lot of great advice in terms of how to make the relationship with HCC work and how it could be better is the former CEO of, so after Jeffrey, I think Anna, is that her name? She came on for 6 years before the current Kwame actually suggested to Wendy, you're having your 30th anniversary. What are your thoughts about honoring Jeffrey Canada? I think it's a brilliant
Oh,
move,
wow.
That's a great idea.
isn't it?
That
Isn't that such a brilliant strategic move on our part? Not only is it recognizing, because it's truly a great recognition of the partnership that the foundation has with HCZ, but really, as we celebrate 30 years, we wouldn't have come this far without them, and it wouldn't be without Jeffrey Canada. I actually think it's brilliant, and he's such a figure that I think there will be a lot of people coming out to support him,
absolutely.
right?
And also the
So,
fact that we aren't coming up with it and like having to pitch it is really awesome. It's like they suggested it and so it's quite awesome.
well, the person who suggested it used to be the CEO. She's no longer affiliated. She now is, I can't remember what she's doing now.
She's no longer the CEO of HCZ.
Correct.
So
Yes, she's no
Jeffrey
longer.
Canada, this how friendly is Wendy been with?
She was very much so when he
That's
was the
awesome.
person who was so involved. But as the organization has grown, he's taken what seems like much more of like the CEO emeritus status
Mhm.
and really allows for the current CEO to run the organization. So she doesn't really have a direct pipe to him. But when he was there, I mean, he's really the one who loved what we were doing and brought our foundation to place. So I think it would be great if we could get him to commit to being the person. So yeah,
I was just,
so that
I was just kind of Googling because I was just seeing, they said he stepped down as chief executive officer in 2014, but he continues to serve as the president.
yeah. So he's
Oh,
I
it's
think
still
he's still
involved. I mean,
exactly he's still involved, but not in this
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
this day to day. Like Wendy struggles with Kwame, who is the current head of HCC. Like he doesn't want to be the person coming involved, right? And I totally get that too. He's got to let the person who's running it run it. But I think for our strategic alliance and partnership, it's a really great thing. Um, the thing that I'd love to share with all of you on this call, and I don't want to dominate this conversation, so please, but one of the things I asked Wendy to put together for me um, is a list of what is it that she needs from the
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
So she did do that. She gave me her top 4 priorities. So I'm happy to share this with all of
yeah.
you. But you know, really, it's not surprising. It's
Mhm.
the space. It's creating a space. But I'll be honest, you know, in this space with all of you, I didn't quite understand. And I think this is where we could do a better job supporting and helping Wendy to be very clear about where our struggles are and what it is that we need. Because it wasn't until I got much more involved in spending time with Wendy that I understood that our hours from the armory were so reduced. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know if we all knew that
yeah,
as a board. And so for me, when I heard we want new space, I heard that as more of it was a nice to have,
yeah,
Yeah, like,
not a requirement for the
yeah.
sustainability of our foundation to have.
right, right. Whatever happened to that Herbie, like that space that Herbie was talking to somebody about? Wasn't there some space he was talking about? Just-
The spaces that are public, like,
I
are we
thought-
talking about the spaces in those, I mean, a lot of the spaces Wendy's looking at are space, so basically how real estate developers are kind of, getting a lot of tax breaks is that they build like these huge sites and then they allocate a certain number of apartments to low income and then they allocate certain spaces designated as like public use or something. It's not necessarily free in my understanding. Mackenzie might know more about this, but like it's not necessarily free. I think it's you still have to have a
It,
lease. It's just under market rates, right? So
right.
like we would still need a backer. You would still need to sign a 10-year lease. There'd still be a build out. It's a lot of money that is involved in getting that space, even if it is a public space. That's my understanding.
So it's when buildings are built, they get all
Mhm.
sorts of,
Yeah.
benefits from the government, and sometimes they won't let you build unless a certain
Mhm.
percentage is rent stabilized or a certain
Mhm.
percentage goes to people of certain socioeconomic class. And so I think they're trying to find spaces that could also have this community aspect of it. Val, I think what you're referencing is at some point, Herbie wanted to actually pitch to Michael Tiedemann
Oh,
for
right.
him to be the person who kind of like saves us. So, you know, I'm not a fundraiser, but I've been involved in this world for a long time. That's not how you bring on a new person into an organization, right? People want to give to successful organizations. So you first bring somebody on because you want to get them excited about what we do.
Mhm.
So I never thought it was a great idea to pitch to someone that Herbie's very close to say, we know you have money and our needs are here. And so you have the capacity to give large. So we're going to pitch this to you. So I don't know what happened from those conversations, but I was really happy to see that we ended up honoring him. And here he actually was a huge part of us being able to meet somewhat of our, we didn't meet our goals
Yeah.
for the gala, but he was a huge contributor to that. And so, you know, my hope for the foundation, and I think all of us can figure out ways to support Wendy in a way, because right now it's her.
Yeah.
She's the only one who could do this operationally at the foundational level. And that is, how do we keep someone like Michael Tiedemann not only interested, but keep him engaged? And then he brought a lot of friends that night who were all there that entire evening.
Right.
So what can we do
Yeah.
to keep them engaged so that it doesn't then fall off, and then it doesn't become, here's the gala and here we go again and ramping it up? So besides space, the second thing that she did ask for that I think we addressed at the board meeting last night is a better way to not only more commitment financially from various organizations, people, but also, you know, how can we have the commitment that it's not scrambling for the event, right? So I think the question that Mackenzie asked about, do we have fundraising that's separate from the event?
Mhm.
And then can we do things that are more sustained? And then can we also get to see who are those who actually give, not on these one-offs, but on a regular basis? And I think we're going to address some of that, and I think we have already.
Yeah,
The
I set
third,
a thing for Chris to set Mackenzie and I up on that. Admittedly, like I've had access, I've not had time to go through
yeah,
details.
yeah.
Chris
So
working out well. She's working out well, Chris.
yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, she's a remote executive
Yeah.
assistant. That's one of the other reasons why all of our meetings are recorded. I didn't know why.
Oh, she's a remote?
Yes, she's
Yes.
remote.
So
Oh,
she's based in the Philippines.
Yeah.
She's based
Oh,
in the
no wonder she
Philippines.
responded so quickly.
Yeah,
It was
and
like
so
late last night. I was like,
She's
oh, this
very
is great.
responsive, but I, you know, is she the only person kind of keeping control, and
but it's been working.
it's been
Yeah,
working
that's
good
good.
enough?
And it's one of, and I know Wendy's not here, but she's going to see this recording. And Wendy, we're going to also talk to you about this at another time too, is she's been a consistent employee. And we've not had that many consistent employees that have been able to thrive at the foundation. And so it's working for Wendy, and Chris has been very responsive. So the board kind of onboarding that I asked for, I thought she, you know, did a lovely job. She's really on it when we ask her for things. So yes, she is a remote employee based in the Philippines,
She was
because I
hired,
didn't,
I'm sure she was hired through like a third party staffing.
no idea.
It
I have
it's
no
fine.
idea.
Like I do this
I
work.
don't know.
We've actually doubled our employee like customer support headcount, and all of them have been overseas.
Yeah.
So, and they're expected to perform
No, she's
just
good.
as much
She's
as our
good. I
agent.
didn't know
I'm not
enough.
surprised she's been great.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. All I know is that, again, communication for me is really key. I was in a meeting with just me and Wendy, and she was recording. And I was like, why are you recording this meeting? And again, I think we just need to understand why we're doing certain things. And that's when she explained to me
Yeah,
that she had to give it to Chris because she's a remote employee and that she's unable to meet meetings during our time. So the
what
third
does
thing that
Chris do as a follow-up to that meeting though?
I don't know. So
That's the weird part, because we also have like transcription, right? There's like transcription for AI, like there's AI transcription. Like if there's any follow-ups, like
yeah,
there are bots that can summarize that stuff. I know some people don't like the bots in the meeting because it makes people less frank,
yeah,
right? Like I think that's a choice that
I
like
don't
we
know.
make. But
Sure.
if like the default is like, hey, we should record everything so that somebody else has transparency, like there are ways to do that you can,
Okay.
yeah, anyways, so we can
We
talk
can
about
certainly talk about
that.
that. Absolutely. And I think, Gingy, you bring that lens of technology into our space. And I think for me, anything that can make us more efficient is really
Hmm.
important
Hmm.
because we are such a lean organization that we just don't have enough manpower. We don't have enough organizational power. And so anything like that, that maybe perhaps yes, we bring in technology to just transcribe so that it's more efficient for Chris so that we can have
Yeah,
her do other
yeah.
things. I think that's fantastic. Because
Hmm.
the thing that Wendy is also, so the number 3 on her list that she's asking for is helping really with more planning because it's the strategy and execution where I think for me, this is the key to our board support for Wendy. We have not had the time or the space for us to have true ways that we are going to see this foundation, you know, for a very, very long sustainable future.
Hmm.
Personally, that's why, Jinji, when you showed a little bit of like, I think I could dig into numbers, I jumped all over you and I was like, please. I love that you have offered and that you are doing because to me, our financials are a huge part of
Yeah.
trying to do the strategy and the planning for the future. Is like that's where we start.
Mhm.
Um, so I think we're getting there. Wendy says to me, can we spend like a half a day? And I said, Wendy, we could do anything. But the last thing I'm gonna do is go into a meeting. Sorry, I have Isabella's here, Ginger. Um,
Oh, tell her I said
yeah.
hi. I saw her last night.
Um, the last thing I want is for us to just go to a half day without a set agenda, without a real strong sense of what we're gonna actually try to accomplish. So I really want us to understand if and when we're going to do, perhaps a 2-hour retreat, a half day retreat, what we're going to do, what is it that we're actually planning for. But I know Wendy really craves this. She wants it. She wants to support us. And I think we could get there by having these smaller executive committee meetings that we could meet at least once before the big board meeting, but if we can do maybe another one in between as our times
Yeah.
and schedules allow, I think it would be really great because Wendy could really use some consistency.
Yeah.
And then the last one is really converting the social media into funding. I think we talked a little bit about that last night too. So I think Mackenzie can be really helpful. I hope, and Val, I hope I wasn't out of line to say, can we, when the idea was to collapse the benefit committee with the fundraising committee, and I just asked her to chair it. I hope that was okay. It seemed
Oh,
like
that's fine. It's totally.
okay.
Yeah. I think she seems really like hyped up and motivated.
Great.
So
Yeah.
that's
And that
great.
we need to
Yeah.
capitalize on that
Yeah.
because when you're
But
new,
I think the one thing I would caveat is that if I understood correctly like what we discussed with her was that she was going to chair fundraising and she was going to chair social media
Yeah.
because of the fundraising. It seems like a lot. Like I want to see to it that like she's successful. So I just like that was my only flag.
I think the social media is big, would be a big
Like
asset.
whatever we think she would be more successful at is probably what she should focus on. But I think giving her like maybe two like huge undertakings is maybe a lot.
so I don't know what that means in terms of social media. The way that I heard it was basically connecting it to, and maybe not.
Yeah, and she's not
I didn't think.
revamping the social media strategy, but like she was
Yeah,
also and like by the way, this is not about her. This is just about like how much everyone has time for. Like she was also saying like she's gonna dig into like the PR agencies like like past press and like and what they're doing there. I get that there's an ultimate connection into the fundraising, but I think they're two very different functions. So I just
focus
want
on
to
that,
flag
raise
that.
money, right?
What?
I mean, if she focuses on the social media, that will get us more money. basically.
Yes, but I think also
doesn't
that,
have
like
to be on the
there's so
thing.
many like other tasks associated with fundraising. Like she's going to look through the donor database, like organize data around that, right? Like I think there's a lot, and she's going to design like our outreach there and kind of the fundraising campaigns, and that's completely separate from anything like that is social media related. So maybe like, I mean, I hope that I'm wrong and that she can do it all, but I think also like to the second point I wanted to make about like the board is that I do really feel strongly that everybody that continues to sit on the board has like very defined goals. I think like Val, like you've been here for a while, I've been here for a while. I think that like we have a tendency, myself included, to show up and like have stuff like presented to us, right? And then we all like talk about it. But I think we would be much more effective if like everybody had an outcome that they were bringing to the board meeting.
Yes.
You-
Elaborate, Tom, please.
Thanks, Tom.
Um, a couple things. My time's a little short. I feel like, the fact that Wendy gave you this top four, Carol, is pretty huge. Um, and I wonder if that could be like boiled down into a quick little one pager or something that the executive committee can kind of almost like refine and present back to Wendy to say, this is what we heard you say. And we've added a little bit of refinement to it, from our perspective. But we're looking for that like meaningful interface between the CEO and the board. Because, Gingy, to your point, most boards, play a leadership role, and the CEO does have some accountability to a board. This board is flipped upside down, right? Wendy makes the agenda. Wendy drives everything, but she also needs help. And so I think we have to find a way to create more of a, like a platform for a true partnership with Wendy. Um, not a subservient role, but a real partnership.
Mhm.
Um, and then to her point about strategic planning, I mean, I think we're closer than we've been in a long time to the realities that I think Wendy, shares in this reality that the foundation's in a financially very tenuous situation, nearly 30 years in, and it's a real shame, and because of the positive PR and the blips, these fantastic moments, right, in national media and so forth, there's no awareness of that. And I think the perception is that the foundation's thriving. So, I think we need to get into some really like tough reality territory on two things, on the financials and then on the space with HCZ. And for me, those are the two drivers of the strategy. I mean, social media, I could, to be blunt, I could care less about social media. There's a lot of distractions the board could get tied up into right now. So, it comes to new energy like Greg and Mackenzie. I mean, those folks need to put every ounce of energy they can into righting the financial ship by figuring out a way to communicate effectively with people who can be solid donors and consistent donors, and ushering them in carefully to what is a tenuous situation so that they don't feel like we're asking them to rescue the foundation, but we're asking them to help truly put us on a path to sustainability. And I love the Jeffrey Canada thing. I think it's fantastic. And if that can be step one to changing the dynamic of access,
Yep.
to the children's zone, I mean, it'd be much
Yep.
better than moving. I mean, moving is
Yep.
expensive, disruptive, and it
No.
disrupts the history too and the lineage. So if there were a way to get the
Yeah.
doors back open again,
Totally.
those are
100%.
my one and two,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then building everything around, everything else should drive and support us getting out of this chapter and into the next one.
Mm. Yeah,
Agree.
I think like, we talk about the budget and the revenue, like whatever. I think there are quite a few levers and like you actually need to go really deep into unraveling a lot of that, right? So I think saving on expenses is the thing that nobody really wants to do. And frankly, in an
No.
organization that's doing fine, you like never talk about it.
We have to talk about it.
Yeah,
We have to
so I,
talk
I
about
think
it.
but I want to say that like I do truly believe that the bigger opportunity is in the top line, right? And part of that is fundraising, but part of that is also looking at all of these agreements with like Armory and HCZ and like what exactly did we get historically? What has changed? I think, Carol, to your point, like that hasn't been very clear to the board, right? And maybe it's just like changed gradually, so like it kind of went unnoticed, right? So it's time to examine all of that, I think. So I think the biggest opportunities are actually like in resetting expectations for the top line, resetting expectations for like negotiating like better agreements and better relationships with those partners. And I think that's kind of the way forward.
I have a question. When we discussed expenses and she
Mhm.
asked what constitutes this cost, and some of them are duplicative. I think, I'm sorry, it's loud outside here. How did we end up on that? Who's going to be looking at the balance sheet and looking at what every expense is?
Right now, that's me trying to do it, but it's a lot of detail, and frankly, like I haven't done it myself in my professional life in like 10 years. So I'm
Well,
trying to
like
get some help.
beefing up the finance committee, um, would be, I mean, getting Demetrius more involved. I mean, is there somebody
Yeah.
else in the
Yes.
board currently on the board who's
Yeah.
not active, who has those skill sets and could be brought in and like
Right.
Yeah.
reactivate it? Maybe not. Maybe it's
Yeah. I
and
mean,
Yeah.
if not,
it's
then
also
who can we recruit in?
yeah, it's also a
Yeah.
super specific skill set. I wouldn't say anybody on the finance committee. Like I have an operational, like my background's like more in operational finance, so that's why I can do it. But like I think Dominic's a banker, Demetrius is a banker. It's a little bit different. Um, so but I think I truly believe, like I don't want to waste everyone's time here with it, but I think the right way forward is to like do a one-time cleanup, set very like if these accountants are the people that we're going to go with, set very strict rules for how they operate and how they classify. And then if you kind of fix that at the root, then everything is much more clean going forward, right? So I do believe it's a one-time fix and then everything will be smoother from there. So I don't want to spend too much of our time on that. I just wanted to like I
Gingy,
do think
I was asking who is going to ask the accountant what constitutes this classification? Can you break it
that
out?
right now that's me. So I'm digging
You're gonna
into
be-
it.
so
And
you're
every
gonna
time
be- Okay, you're gonna
it's
be
me.
talking
And every time I ask, he's like, oh, I did it like it was done differently 2 years ago. And then now it's like this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I looking at? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's a little bit of that going on right now. Like big picture, I can still, kind of get there, but it's
So you're waiting for
Yeah.
answers sometimes that he's still confused.
yeah, but like outside of that though, I don't think like it's the accountant's responsibility or like his kind of
Right, right.
his realm to understand the drivers of our revenue, right? So like
No.
for example, like he's
Right.
booking our revenue. He's like, oh, this much cash came in, so he's
Right.
gonna book it. But he's not gonna understand like HCZ has given us less hours and we are getting the same money.
Exactly.
It's stuff like that, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a separate set of like
Yes.
strategy that we
Yeah,
also have to address
Yes.
outside of the financials. It drives the
Exactly.
numbers, but you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I think
Yeah.
Yep.
financials is
And
not,
that's
and
exactly. And that's
yeah,
exactly why I did not want an accountant or
yeah.
someone who was keeping our books to come into the board meeting. Because
No,
I felt
it's
like
not helpful.
every
Yeah.
board meeting, it was, here are our numbers. And then we were asking questions of these outside people of like, why this and why that? and it was not helpful. And
And
so,
and the thing is,
yeah,
like, every time we like get together as a board, we'll like drive on one number. It's like, what was in this number? It's like completely like,
exactly.
frankly, it's
Yes,
completely unimportant. Like,
yes,
we should be
and understood.
understanding, like, we should focus all of our time on like where's the money coming in from, right? So
Yeah,
I just
and
kind of want
right,
to, and I think
right.
that's actually like the rest of the finance committee, like they can actually be like extremely helpful in that, right? Like Demetrius is a he's a relationship banker. Like that's what he does. And I think the rest of the finance committee can really contribute to driving that top line.
Awesome.
I've got to scoot,
Uh,
folks.
y yes, Tom, thank you so much. Oh, yeah, no, I do too. I think, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Clearly we have a lot to talk about, and clearly we actually can use the time because Val, I think you ask good questions and you've been on the board for a long time, and there are things that, you know, a number of us we don't understand. And I think really it's partly what Gingy is actually doing with the books and trying to classify it so that we're setting it up. I think it's very similar to our boards. Like, where are the drivers? What are the things we don't understand? And what do we need to clean up so that we can actually, and the questions, like, what are the barriers that we're facing in order to actually raise more money? Like, what are the barriers to getting a bigger national platform so that it actually turns into something that is more support for the foundation?
I don't think until today with Gingy getting involved, I don't know that we've ever had anybody on the board delve into finances.
At
Exactly.
any
No,
what? Sorry.
No one has
no, we
delved into the finance and asked accountant questions, because all these board meetings year after year, the
exactly.
accountant comes and says these things and people ask, well, what's that? And he doesn't really have an answer. It's been like that for years.
So Val, that's what I didn't. Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think it was my first thing that I asked, like, and it's the only place that I think I had any clarity was the finance committee. Can the finance committee meet before the board? And can the chair of the finance committee then translate that to the
And
board as
I'll
to,
be, Wendy was on the call with the finance committee. I'll be super frank. I went to the finance committee. I knew that I had looked at the numbers a little bit. I hadn't gone that much in depth. And I went around the table to everyone that was in the finance committee. I said, what is our understanding of the financial status of the organization? And nobody really knew.
and so
Who's on
that's the
on
key.
the committee? Who else is on the committee?
Well,
Marion,
Marion is the supposed to
Demetrius,
chair.
Right.
Demetrius, Dominic,
yeah, Dominic, like the four,
Gingy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you've had meetings of like the four of you a few times?
We've had meetings before, but it would be kind of the same that would happen at the board level where like someone would focus on one expense. It's like, what's that, Wendy? What are you spending? And I'm just like, it's
Doesn't matter.
frankly unimportant. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
all right. All right, guys, I have to go.
Yes,
And
definitely. Yeah, no, thank you.
hopefully I included this.
Val, I might follow up with you because one of the things that I could use some help is I'd love, so, and I know you know a lot, all the board members, maybe you could help me think through, like, I'd love to attach a board member to at least one committee.
Yeah.
right, yeah. And I don't know, do
Yeah,
you have a list, do you have a list of committees or we're creating?
we're creating them. I mean, I think right now we have finance, and it sounds like the benefit is going to be benefit and fundraiser committee. We have the nominating committee,
None?
and
Yeah, if you look
that
at the
might,
last board meeting, Amy started throwing out some other ones that used to be.
yeah, but
I
that's not
think
important. They
that's
used to
fun.
be, yeah,
Yeah, those
is
are
not
fun. Let's
important.
do that.
So, but other ones that we think might be important, we can certainly create. But
Yeah.
yeah. But it was lovely. Brenda reached out to me after the board meeting last night. She said, Carol, because I've been trying to meet with everybody, and she was one of the three who didn't get back to me. And she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I know I owe you a phone call. She's like, I thought that was a great meeting. I'd love to chat. So that was really sweet. So
Yeah.
I've been thinking about Brenda because, you know, she has super special skill sets and
Yeah, Brenda.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Have a
Thanks.
great rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye.